In the Carolinas for the special online edition of WCNC Charlotte. From Blowing Rock to Bessemer City, Salisbury to Charlotte, we are seeing snowflakes flying.
Our first warned storm team has been telling us for days about this snow, and it finally hit. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. I'm Sarah French.
And I'm Fred Shropshire. We have a lot of school closings and delays coming in right now. They are scrolling at the bottom of your screen. We'll get a check of some of the big ones in just a minute. First, though, let's take a look at the first warned Doppler radar. You can see the system blanketing the Carolinas. And this snow, rain, sleet mix is going to continue well into the night. A winter weather advisory remains in effect until tomorrow morning. And tomorrow going into work is going to be where we see the toughest problems. And that's because everything that's falling right now, whether it's rain or snow, will freeze, making for a potentially icy drive into work tomorrow morning. Tonight, WCNC Charlotte has live first warned team weather coverage to make sure you're prepared, from current conditions on the roads to how road crews are prepping for overnight ice. We have every angle covered. But we want to start in the first warned storm center, where Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich has your minute-by-minute forecast. Brad?
Yeah, we're still seeing some rain out there right now, guys, but mixing with a lot of snow to the south. Mainly snow in many areas like Rock Hill, Fort Mill, TKK. Around the Charlotte area, the temperatures are the key part tonight. We're going to watch these temperatures, see how quickly they can fall back, and if they get below freezing, we'll start to have some issues. 33 in Hickory, 32 in Salisbury, 34 currently in Concord, 34 in Charlotte, 35 as you go over towards areas down in Chester County. Now, the snow technically still falling. The radar isn't picking it up, but we're still reporting snow at the airport, Concord, Lincolnton, Gastonia, as well as Rock Hill. But the bulk of the snow is starting to shift off to the east in areas Union County, down into Anson, Stanley, Richmond County. We're even seeing trace amounts of snow in Chesterfield County, areas like Pageland, over towards Lancaster, where we're seeing some snow falling, and even down almost to Columbia, South Carolina. We're starting to see some snowflakes down there. That rain-snow line becomes a little more pronounced down towards Wilmington. The real heavy snow from this event is going to be here east of I-95. This is where we're going to see the winter storm warnings, and that's where we could see maybe 3, 4, 5 inches of snow. Most areas to our east are going to see about 1 to 2. So far in our area, generally a trace to up to an inch on the grassy surfaces. We're getting some renewed snow shower activity around the Statesville area along Interstate 40, and until this wave completely passes over us, we're likely going to see some flakes at least flying for the next couple of hours. Back to the west, there are still some snow showers in eastern Tennessee. Those are sliding into the mountains, but as we go through the next couple of hours, I expect most of this stuff will start to fall apart and weaken. Here's 8 o'clock. We'll go all the way through about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Everything starts to shift off to the east, and that's when things will start to kind of calm down. Then we'll watch the temperatures. We'll still be above freezing for several hours, so really no issues on the roads until late tonight, well after midnight and into the early morning hours tomorrow, when temperatures will likely fall down below the freezing mark. And that's really going to be the situation we'll watch for those early morning hours, and likely what's going to cause a lot of delays. Meteorologist Aisha Scott is over in the Weather Center, and Aisha, those cold temperatures in the morning will be a big part of the problem.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to watch for that black ice threat early tomorrow morning as well. So if you're heading out, just a heads up, you'll want to use extra caution on the roads. One other thing I do want to mention, because I went outside to see some of the snowflakes as well, and it is cold. I knew it was cold out there, but the feel-like temperatures have dropped into the 20s and really have been in the 20s all evening. So as we go through the rest of tonight, right around midnight, air temperatures will fall as well. But just keep in mind those feel-like temperatures down into the 20s overnight tonight, along with those air temperatures as well. So we'll talk more about the black ice threat for your Friday coming up in just a few minutes. Sarah?
Aisha, thank you. The snow still falling tonight as the sun.
Thanks, Aisha. Yeah, we're still tracking that low on the coast, which is a big part of this system. And this low is what's going to move away over the next couple of hours, and we'll see high pressure build in. So the thing is, if you're worried about the road conditions in the morning, if you can just wait until the sun comes up, I think things will be completely fine after sunrise tomorrow. It's a very narrow window where we're going to have icy roads tonight. Most of that is going to be between about 4 a.m. and about 9 a.m. As we go through the weekend, it actually warms all the way back up, maybe even close to 60 degrees by the time we get to Sunday. And that's the day we'll see all that melting going on, and there'll be nothing left out there across the area. So guys, we'll keep an eye on those temperatures tonight, and that really is going to be the key. Right now, as Aisha mentioned, I was outside. There's really no issues on the roads at all right now. They're just wet. It's essentially been like a cold rain out there on the road surfaces.
All right, Brad, thank you. And the snow is still falling tonight as the sun has set, which means all the rain and snow that fell today will start freezing as the night goes on.
Let's check in now live with our Hunter Signs, who's been in the Chevy Storm Tracker all evening. Hunter, what are you seeing out there tonight?
Yeah, Fred and Sarah, the snow has stopped for the most part here, although we have seen a couple of flakes, but it's nothing compared to what we saw earlier. We are on 85 south from Charlotte heading towards Gaston County. I do want to let you know, though, this weather has proved dangerous in some aspect because we've had just tonight 3 people, pedestrians, hit by cars during that snowfall earlier this afternoon. Thankfully, though, the amount of calls that Medic has received since midnight is only at 51. They tweeted at me moments ago saying, thankfully, people heeded the warnings and slowed down. So that's always good news, although it's 51, too many, but it could have been worse, according to them. Back to those 3 pedestrians who were hit, one of them over on Independence in the east side of town. That person was rushed to the emergency room with serious injuries. The other 2 were not life-threatening, one of them happening over off of North Sharon Amity Road and Milton Road, and the other one on South Tryon. Of course, we don't know if weather was a factor in all 3 of them, but like I said, when they happened, the snow was coming down, and driving out here in it, it didn't take much to start coming at your windshield, and you're trying to get those wipers going to wipe it off, of course, and then add traffic and people slowing down on their brakes during the afternoon commute. Some may be able to assume that the weather could have been a factor, but no confirmation there. Thankfully, though, it sounds like 2 of them are going to be okay. We are still trying to check in to get the condition of that person who was hit by a vehicle during the snow over on the east side of town. But the good news, like I said, only 51 calls that Medic received with traffic accidents. People are definitely taking it slow out here. Hopefully they will continue to do so as the night continues because, as you said, the temperatures are already falling. It is chilly outside. We just got back into the vehicle after going out to grab a quick bite to eat during all of this coverage, but we came back in here. It is cold out there, and as Brad and Aisha have mentioned, the big part of this is these wet roads could certainly freeze going into the overnight hours. So if you have to be out, please take it slow. Otherwise, just stay bundled up inside. Back to you.
Our team coverage continues tonight now in Rowan County.
WCNC Charlotte's Chloe Leshner spent the day in Salisbury and shows us what it looked like there this evening.
I'm Chloe Leshner in Salisbury, where the snow has accumulated here on the grass and on some cars passing by, but it is not sticking to the streets yet at this point. First responders are expecting a few more accidents than normal, which is why crews have been out pre-treating the bridges, and there will be extra police patrols. The main concern really is the black ice that we will see tonight into tomorrow morning. First responders asking people to take it slow out on the roads.
Chloe, thank you. Our team coverage continues in Union County. Snow coming down now, making for dangerous road conditions there.
Stallings Fire Department tweeting out a photo of an accident on Indian Trail Road. Traffic now down to 1 lane. I think we have an image of that. WCNC Charlotte's Brianna Harper live on scene. Brianna, what's the latest?
Well, Sarah, just within the last maybe 10 or 15 minutes, that crash wrapped up. But this was at the intersection where all this happened. If you take a look behind me, you can see the roads here are still wet. But Highway Patrol isn't saying whether or not weather played a factor in this. But I want you guys to take a look at what that scene was looking like when we first arrived here earlier this afternoon. Highway Patrol tells us there were 3 cars involved in this crash. It appears 1 car actually ran through the 2-way stop sign here at the intersection of Indian Trail Road and Gibble Road. That car hit another car that was coming through the intersection, and then there was kind of a ricochet effect hitting a 3rd car in that crash. So again, 3 cars hit. The good news is no one was hurt in all of this. And again, Highway Patrol says they don't believe that the weather had to do anything with this crash, but it's just a reminder to folks to continue to take it slow in this weather. Again, wet roads definitely a factor, and as that temperature continues to drop, again, the possibility for freezing also another concern. But this is what some drivers had to tell us earlier about how they plan to keep a lookout. Take a look.
They should just take it slow, keep it easy. Everybody stay safe, don't wreck, and make sure you stay alive.
And then again, back out here live, we were taking a look at the roads earlier, but this is what the side streets are looking like, or at least the ground, the sidewalks, that kind of thing. You can see a small layer of snow covering the area here. Again, luckily no issues on the road, but we will continue to stay out here in the Union County area and Indian Trail and keep you guys updated on the conditions throughout the rest of this evening. Send it back to you guys.
I'm Kendall Morris in Huntersville. Conditions here are continuing to change as snow continues to fall from the sky. This area is predicted to get about 1 inch to 2 inches of snow. You can see here on the ground and soft surfaces, snow is beginning to accumulate. But what we're really watching is the pavement here, because you can see that the snow, when it falls to the ground, it is melting, which overnight will create hazardous conditions for drivers as this freezes over and has the potential for black ice. We'll send it back to you.
Kendall, thank you. And with this winter weather, we are seeing a lot of school delays and even some closings tomorrow. Vanessa Rufus is in the newsroom with the list. Vanessa?
Hi, Fred. Yeah, that closure list or delay list continues to grow as we go into the evening now. We're now up to about 59 at last check on our website, WCNC.com. Just running through some of the school districts that are going to be impacted by this winter weather. We'll go ahead and show you on your screen right now the delays and the closures that we've got reported so far. So a 2-hour delay is reported for tomorrow. Rock Hill, Fort Mill, York County, Watauga, Ashe County, Gaston County. We also have some 3-hour delays reported. Those come from Lancaster, Caldwell County, Alexander County, Iredell, Statesville, and Lincoln County, and then full closures reported at Avery County and Anson County schools. And as I mentioned, a much fuller, more comprehensive list is available at our website, WCNC.com, including universities and agencies and even churches throughout the viewing area. So go ahead and check that out. If you want to use a quick text tool that'll just send that list right to you, you can always text closings, so text the word closings to 704-329-3600, and that will go right to your phone. Once again, text message, don't call. Guys, back to you.
All right, that's going to come in handy for a lot of people.
Indeed.
And here's a live look at conditions in the Raleigh area tonight. They've seen a lot of snow this afternoon, like we have. Let's get a check of what's happening out there right now.
I'm WRAL's Aaron Thomas in Rocky Mount, where you can see snow continues to fall. You can see some of the snowfall accumulating here on the ground and some of these trees. Now, we're in an interesting spot right now. We have several people who are staying inside some of these cozy tiny homes here on the campus of Rocky Mount Mills. I spoke with the tow truck driver who tells me he's hoping people stay inside and avoid being on the roads if possible. But these tow truck drivers are already ready to provide roadside assistance to those who need it as snow continues to fall. Back to you.
Taking it out to Stanley County now. Snow coming down hard there. Just look at this. You can see the roads. Temperatures drop. Going to have issues with that tonight. Those driving conditions will just worsen overnight into the morning commuting hours. WCNC Charlotte, Savannah Levin's live in Stanley County. Savannah, those wet roads really, as we've said over and over again, are going to be an issue.
Yep, absolutely, Sarah. And why don't we just get right to it? I'll show you from our dash cam right now. Now, I can tell you the snow was coming down strong and thick, those big fat flakes coming down for a really long time. It just now in the past maybe 30 minutes seemed to taper off a little bit. You're seeing really light, tiny flakes now. But if you look to the side on the roadways there, you can see accumulation on the ground. I want to say 1/2 to 1 inch, maybe even in some places. Yeah, maybe 1 inch to 1/2 inch in some places, but the good news is, as far as the roads, not really seeing a lot of ice, so that's certainly a good thing. Check, didn't see any power outages, so that's good news as well. As far as schools, I know you were talking about cancellations and delays. Stanley County schools have announced a 3-hour delay for tomorrow. They said they're going to continue to monitor and could increase that, potentially cancel altogether tomorrow if need be. Of course, all going to be dependent on whether these roads right here in front of you freeze overnight as temperatures drop. Guys, that's the latest from Stanley County. I'm Savannah Levins, WCNC Charlotte.
I'm Alex Shabbat at the NCDOT maintenance yard where wet snow has been coming down for the last several hours. NCDOT tells us they'll be sending 20 plow trucks out later tonight, but they're waiting till after the storm passes because they say it's just too wet right now to treat the roads. You can see a number of puddles down where I'm standing, which means the big threat is black ice. NCDOT will be closely monitoring the situation to determine when to treat those roads and prevent the black ice.
Okay, Alex, thank you. Another spot we saw get hit with a lot of snow today was Bessemer City. We watched huge flakes fall there all evening long.
WCNC Charlotte's Brandon Goldner has been in Gaston County all day long and joins us live tonight. So, Brandon, looks like the snow has stopped where you are. It was really coming down earlier tonight.
It really was, and every family member that we've seen, a lot of them were so excited about all the snow coming down. It's gotten a lot quieter. We moved actually east closer to Charlotte in Gastonia right now. Gaston County Schools just in the last hour came out with the news that they will be delaying schools by about 2 hours just from the roadways and the reflection of the city lights on the roadways. That is going to be, of course, the issue that we keep on harping on when it comes to the issue of black ice and slick roads, even just when cars coming by through here. Speed limit around here is around 20-25 miles per hour, but just hearing the splashing of the roads and just how wet those roads are. Good news as well. And like Medic, Gaston County EMS says that they have not had any additional calls compared to what they normally receive. People have been heeding advice and slowing down according to them. Gaston County Schools, of course, also released students earlier today around 1 p.m. and so far from what we've heard there, it has been a smooth transition in that sense. The snow has mainly been hitting on terms of the grass, but not so much on the roadways, but still having those slick conditions. For now, we'll send it back over to you guys.
Thank you, Brandon Golden, reporting live. And a live look now at the roads. That's where a lot of our focus is right now because the temperatures, as you've heard us talking about all along, they're going to drop as the night continues. And anything that's wet right now will freeze over, making for a potentially icy drive.
So let's send it over to Vanessa Rufus live in the newsroom. Vanessa, there are some things people can do behind the wheel to really stay safe tomorrow morning or if they have to get out tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Sarah and Fred. We have some tips that we are seeing from troopers and automotive experts about how to drive in winter weather. So we'll run through just a few of those right now. Starting off with a little cautionary tale about cruise control and how, sometimes folks like to put that and maybe they can save some gas. But really, it's not going to be very safe if you hit a pocket of ice. That could really help you or make you lose control of your vehicle a lot worse. Also, increase your following distance. And we know all about that. We hear all about that every time the visibility drops, but also just with ice or snow or even just rain, we hear experts say to increase that following distance for 6 to 10 seconds. So that basically means the car in front of you passes a landmark. You're counting 6 to 10 seconds before you yourself are crossing that landmark as well. Third, we have accelerate and brake slowly. So we're not doing any hard jamming on the brakes. We're not doing any big gassing of the pedal. That's really going to help you get into a skid. And then speaking of which, God forbid you get into a skid, but we have some tips for you if that does happen. So first of all, stay calm. I know that's tough, but try not to panic. Try not to slam on that brake. That can make the situation worse. And then when you get into a rear wheel skid where you have the rear of your car moving either in one direction or the other, you're turning your steering wheel in the direction of the skid. So if your rear is going towards the left, you're turning your steering wheel gently towards the left. Biggest tip of all, though, if you don't have to drive, don't do it. Don't put yourself in that potential scenario. Guys, back to you.
That's right. Just best to avoid that entire situation altogether. Vanessa, thank you.
Right now, we want to get another check of the forecast, so let's send it over to Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich for the very latest. Hey, Brad.
Yeah, we still have that winter weather advisory in effect, guys. This will likely be extended through tomorrow, even as the snow comes to an end. Remember, roads are going to be slick overnight, and we're going to see some slick spots. They are canceling some of the counties back to the west, so we're seeing a few out of there. We'll have to see if this gets extended past the midnight time frame for some of these areas. The big story tonight, obviously, is going to be the temperature. Anything wet out there, doesn't matter how much snow you got, because if it freezes tonight, even the rain that fell today is going to cause some slick spots. There's the back edge of the snow just now moving east of Charlotte. I'm still seeing snow reports at the airport, so it's likely there are some flurries lagging back in here. There's a little band right in here that isn't going to show up on radar. Light snow has a difficult time showing up on radar because the radar beam bounces off that fluffy snow and doesn't really show up on the radar. But you can see that batch of snow pushing off to the south and east, back towards the west. we're starting to dry things out right now. The big story is how much snow is actually fallen and stuck. I mean, that's been kind of a tough thing to measure out there because this stuff's been melting so quickly. Aisha Scott's been pouring over some of those snowfall totals and has some of the reports we've seen so far, Aisha, and some of them more impressive than others, but most areas about an inch or so, right?
Yeah, about an inch. Most areas about a half an inch. So let's take a look at the numbers here. So Banner Elk, actually the highest spot that I've seen thus far, and these are all preliminary, so these are not official totals. About 2.5 inches. Lenore, about an inch of snow. Valdez, about a half of an inch, and then Rockwell, about a half of an inch as well. So we haven't had a whole lot of snow. We wasn't even forecasting a whole lot of snow, but it was certainly pretty to see. And as Brad mentioned, it did a lot of it melted as it hit the surface. So we'll get some of those official numbers hopefully over the next several hours, and we'll bring those to you a little bit later on. Brad?
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what the airport actually ends up with. I do know they had officially measured at least 1/10 of an inch, which is measurable snow. That will keep our streak alive of 142 years in a row of at least some snowfall. So kind of impressive to see us get that snow. So tonight we'll see what the refreeze looks like. It looks like between, I would say, 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. is when we're going to be dropping below freezing. And I really think sunrise is where we'll see the slick spots, because if you're out and about today or even this evening, driving's fine. Now tomorrow, it's not going to be the same thing, so don't be deceived. The reason it's called black ice is because when we see that water on the road surface, it looks like it's wet, but it could be ice, and it's very transparent, it's very thin, especially bridges and overpasses. I think that's where you're going to see DOT put a lot of their effort in over the next 12 hours or so. Rapidly falling temperatures by morning really causes a quick refreeze of anything wet. And again, if you come across a bridge or an overpass, don't jerk the wheel, don't slam the brakes on. Vanessa was talking about this. Just let off the gas and coast directly straight over. Once you get to the other side, you can start applying the brake or slow down a little bit. So low temperatures overnight. I do expect some mid-teens in the mountains, a low to mid-20s, and there's still a chance of a stray flurry till about 2 or 3 in the morning. A very cold start, so bundle up in the morning. I think we'll see a lot of delays because the delay is all you need. There's no reason to cancel plans tomorrow, because if you can get to sunrise and get to about 9 a.m., we should be okay, because I'll show you temperatures after that morning where we're down around 30 degrees. We will quickly climb up above freezing, and with the sunshine out, it'll do the work that salt can't. So the DOT doesn't have to do much work tomorrow because Mother Nature will do most of it for them. Full sunshine all day with temperatures climbing back into the 40s. Here's a look at that 7-day forecast, and you could see some morning icy spots tomorrow with temperatures down into the 20s, and then by the afternoon we'll see those temperatures back into the 40s, and then notice by Sunday it's back up to 60 degrees, guys, and that's a Charlotte snowstorm, right? you get snow, and then a couple days later, it's back near 60. And a lot of folks already asked me, is this it? This is the last one? I would not bet against March. March 2nd, by the way, is the snowiest single calendar day of the entire year.
And didn't we get a little snow last year in April?
April 2nd. So
Remember that.
I always tell people, you got to get past St. Patrick's Day. To me, that's kind of the date. Once we get beyond that, the chances of snow go way down. But those first 2 weeks of March, always very interesting. And the pattern does look cold, I will tell you.
All right, Brad, thank you very much. Well, snow coming down in Charlotte, but that isn't stopping the Charlotte 49ers from having a little fun. The team just tweeting this video of people playing football in the snow. What could be better?
Yeah, this is just one of many weather videos we've seen today. Vanessa Rufus taking a look at those. Vanessa, what do you see?
Yeah, guys, we're getting some great viewer pictures and videos sent to us on social media. So we've collected a few. And yes, the 49ers football one was really great. But I love this drone action shot that we're getting here from Scott Brotherton. I wonder if Brad Panovich likes this drone action picture. Do you like this, Brad?
Fly my drone in the snow.
Yeah, well, he was not. And he got a great neighborhood shot here showing multiple yards with a little bit of powdered sugar going on top. We've seen a lot of videos here with this really heavy snow that is just really accumulating in like front yards. We're seeing them on patios. So here from Pam, snowing in Youngsville. Love that. We also have some slow motion action like this one coming from Salisbury. So that's from Anthony Johnson. Thank you so much, Anthony. And we see some pretty good accumulation here on the rooftops and the lawns. This is Harrisburg coming to us from Michael Keir. So thank you, Michael, for sending this video to us. Karen tweeted this at me. So thank you. Out of York. Pretty good snowfall you guys got in that area. And I love this one, mostly because of the beard. But Craig here says conditions in the high country, not the best snow, but the best so far this winter. I love that. That is a great shot. And then not the best picture, but yes, something that we're contending with. We talked with Charlotte Douglas, you know, they are dealing with some delays, and you could see they are busy de-icing those planes there. Charlotte Motor Speedway showing it coming down on the speedway. And yes, some fun stuff that we're getting. Olaf loving his life on our back porch. Wesley Chapel, Jennifer Weitzel here. Do you want to build a snowman? Yes, we do. There it is. First snowman of 2020 from Monroe, North Carolina, coming from Valerie. I know not a lot of accumulation to build a real one, but we can do the best we can. And then I like this one, a little snowbird out of Indian Trail. And speaking of the animals, we did send this out on social media. We want to see your pictures here of your pets in the snow. This is just so fun, just because we can. Let's go ahead and go through some of the great ones we've got here. A little kitty and her friend. We've got a little snow-covered doggy. We've got the whole gang's here. And then finally, that's my dog, Mr. Mojo, getting his favorite thing, which is snow. So it's his first snow in Charlotte.
All right, go Mr.
I love
Mojo.
it, Vanessa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we're also seeing some problems, though, popping up at the airport, of course, because of all this winter weather.
Let's check in now with Lexi Wilson at Charlotte Douglas to find out what's going on there tonight.
Definitely some travel trouble here. I just checked the monitors, and there are several delays as well as cancellations. According to FlightAware.com, Charlotte has around 40 delays and 35 cancellations. The airport is currently monitoring the weather and is prepared to implement winter weather operations if and when needed. Here's video of the Charlotte Douglas International Airport spraying a de-icing fluid on an aircraft. It helps remove ice and snow. Here's what one traveler had to say about the winter weather.
Flying out at 6:30. My flight's still on time, flying United, but I mean, you never know with the weather. I was here a few weeks ago for the tornado.
And officials say please check your flight status with the airline or on their website, cltairport.com. You can also download their mobile app. Reporting at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport, I'm Lexi Wilson for WCNC Charlotte.
Lexi, thank you. Taking it back out to Stanley County. Snow was coming down hard earlier today. WCNC Charlotte Savannah Levin's live in Stanley County. Savannah, those wet roads, we've been talking about it all night, going to be an issue tonight, really into tomorrow morning as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The snow's been coming down for a long time. Let me just flip over our camera here, show you from our dash cam. Look at all that snow. I want to say maybe an inch at this point from all the snow that's been coming down all day. It's just now tapered off a little bit. You can probably see on your screen there. It's coming down in smaller flakes and a little lighter compared to what we've been seeing since about 4 p.m. So the last 4 hours have been those big fluffy flakes, consistent downfall. Now tapering off a little bit, but yeah, check out those roads soaked. Stanley County Schools announcing a 3-hour delay tomorrow just because of the anticipation of all the water you're seeing on the roads now freezing overnight as temperatures dip. They said they're going to be monitoring the situation, so of course, stick with us. WCNC Charlotte tonight at 11 and in the morning. We're going to be monitoring these conditions and bringing you updates on the schools situations as well. For now, that's the update from Stanley County and Albemarle. Savannah Levin's WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Savannah, thank you. And I'm pretty sure that people, the school systems at least, those that haven't made their announcements are watching the road conditions and what that looks like in the morning very closely.
Yeah, and I think the earlier you start, probably the rougher the conditions will be because right around sunrise looks icy. The winter weather advisories, in fact, I'll be watching temperatures all night. We're kind of done watching the radar because the snow is pretty much moving out. So it's all about watching that thermometer and just to show you that the snow is exiting. But here's a cool thing. We just reported snow here at the station and it made it into the official report there. Half an inch here at WCNC Charlotte. Measure that out on the cars out there. Yeah, so and that's close to the airport. I'm curious to see what the official report will be at the airport. But I know a lot of folks wanted to see a lot more snow, but this was kind of in the range we expected.
Right.
I think we got a little excited because it was our first legitimate
It's not
snow.
a major disruptor, at least not at this point.
No, and here's the thing. Remember, we average 4.3 inches of snow per winter, so something like this is absolutely normal.
And we could have some, you said, still more in March, possibly even April.
Yeah, I think I said earlier in the winter, I said us not getting any snow is more abnormal than us getting snow.
Just be careful tonight and in the morning. You said especially the bridges, the overpasses.
Yeah, because you could be driving fine, and that's the thing. You get up to full speed, and you don't realize you get to a bridge, and if you suddenly jerk the wheel or something, that's where we have issues. I've seen that happen with freezing fog and other situations. People drive full speed, and then you get to a bridge, and it's like, They lose control.
I know. I was just going over that with Fred. I was like, okay, so if I go this way, I turn into it, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yes, you just
and
want to
ease off of the
gently.
gas.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't make any sudden movements with the gas, the brake, or the steering wheel.
Yeah. All right.
All right, thank you. That's going to do it for this special online edition of WCNC Charlotte. We will be back on air on your TV at 11 with a full forecast and everything you need to know as the conditions expected to get worse overnight.